Good morning, everybody. I call the November 18th, 2025 Virgenes-Malibu Council of Governments Governing Board meeting to order. Will the Executive Director please call the roll?
Aniko Gold.
Here.
Marianne Riggins. Steve Uring. Okay. Alicia Weintraub.
Here.
Ray Pearl. President Sylvester.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the approval of the agenda. Would anyone like to revise the agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Will the Executive Director call the roll?
Aniko Gold.
Aye.
Marianne Riggins. Alicia Weintraub.
Aye.
Ray Pearl. President Sylvester.
Aye. Thank you. This is now a public comment period. Are there any members of the public who would like to address the governing board? I believe yes.
Would be me, Penny. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you for this opportunity to come and say hello to your COG. Just wanted to provide a couple little updates of kind of what's going on with the AQMD. In this early year, you guys all know that there was a rule that was out there that was Rule 1111-1121 that would require residents and small businesses to exchange their water heaters and furnaces to electrical water heaters and furnaces. I do want to share that this rule did not pass at this time due to the fact that we are going to be looking at other ways to revise this rule due to the cost that it would going to be costing our residents and the impact of the electrical grid. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with this rule. I'm going to really recommend, and please and educate me on how I can do this better for you all. But when these rules come out that impact your communities, I'm happy to send updates to your city managers. That way you guys could be sending letters to oppose or to approve these rules. Those are super important to me when I receive these information from the cities. That gives me a directive of how you guys are feeling. Because again, these rules can impact all of us. And I guess if we don't know about them, they may pass and it may affect us all. So, as your AQMD Western representative, I'm requesting that we work out some type of communication, or again, I could sit with city managers once every quarter to determine how we could educate each other better on these rules that are coming through. Not sure if you guys also heard, but the cooperative agreement for the ports also just passed this last week. That is the ports of Long Beach and LA who have entered in a cooperative agreement with the AQMD that would require the ports to come up with an infrastructure improvement plan to reduce emissions. Long awaited. I think this has been in the works for over 5 years, and now the ports and AQMD have now come to an agreement. So again, you guys, my message today is please, let's stay intact. Let's stay communicating together. I had the opportunity to meet Penny when I went out to go visit your cities when you guys had some fire situations with air. But again, I'm just here to just say hello and wish you guys all a happy Thanksgiving. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Brenda. Does anybody have any questions for Brenda? No? Seeing none? Well, thank you for... Yes.
Penny?
Yes.
Stephanie, is your hand up for... You have a question?
Just to make an announcement. I'm not sure if it's best to do it now or at the end of the meeting.
Yeah, you can do it later.
Okay, we'll do that. Thanks.
Okay, and I'd like to welcome, I saw Marianne. Yes. Marianne had joined us. Thank you. Are there any other comments that you received, Terry?
No.
No. All right, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Consent calendar items will be approved in one motion unless removed for separate discussion or action. Would anyone like to remove an item from the consent calendar? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Second.
Will the executive director call the roll?
Nico Gold,
Aye.
Marianne Riggins,
Yes.
Alicia Weintraub,
Aye.
Ray Pearl,
Aye.
President Sylvester.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We're now moving on to information items. We're going to start with the Los Angeles County Affordable Housing Solutions Agency. And I'd like to welcome Julia Ledbetter from La Casa to make the presentation.
Morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. I have a little slide deck.
Hold on. I'll pull that up.
And I saw my colleague, Seiran. There he is. I'd like to introduce him as well. Thanks for joining, Seiran.
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. My name is Seiran Fu. I oversee our intergovernmental relations work at La Casa, and I support our chief program officer and our managing director of investments on their program-related work.
Thank you. And so, yes, I'm Julie Ledbetter, Chief Program Officer for La Casa, and working primarily on the renter protection and homelessness prevention bucket of work.
Hey, Julie,
Yeah,
could I just provide a little bit of an introduction?
I would love that.
Okay. As governing board knows, I've been meeting with Julie and other representatives from La Casa for probably the past 6 months on and off with regard to how the COG could most effectively put together a program that would provide the necessary resources for individuals in our COG area that need renter assistance or protection or other issues related to the funding that comes from La Casa. And with the amount of the funding, and the COG has never been requesting more funding, but with the amount of the funding that's been allocated to us, it's really difficult to put together a program that could be effectively run without spending all of the resources on administration. So we've looked at during these meetings for other options, and La Casa came up with a plan that Julie and I discussed a couple of times over the past couple of months that I think might work for the COG, but I wanted to have Julie explain it to the governing board and city managers, and that way we could schedule this for a future agenda for how we want to proceed. But La Casa and Julie and Seiran have all been great partners, and La Casa has been very open about this process, which I've really appreciated and been very supportive. So with that, I'll kick it back to Julie.
Thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. Yeah, so as Terry mentioned, La Casa gets, I'm just going to set a little context because the slide deck really dives directly into the RFP and the integrated service model. But just for a little bit of background, La Casa gets about $114 million annually for renter protection and homelessness prevention. And as you know, 70% of that is distributed directly through the COGs and cities. And La Casa keeps about 30% of that for direction for spending from the board and really to support a countywide approach. And so that is the approach that we're taking. I'm very excited that this is the first conversation with the COGs about participating in the ISM. I think that is exactly what the purpose of having a countywide system is, so that we can really create equitable distribution of these resources across our communities and support some of the smaller jurisdictions to stand up programs. Whereas Terry said, it doesn't make a lot of sense to stand up a million little programs all across the county when the infrastructure that we could use for programming can really be shared, and La Casa can support the building of that enabling infrastructure. So I'll get more into the details of that, but it's really exciting for me to be here with you and appreciate any of your feedback and look forward to partnership on this. So we have two main ways. So we also have the challenge where our budget cycle this year started late. La Casa is just getting going. So the dollars are just getting out into the community. So it's not just, your area, your jurisdiction. It's really, very much shared across the county that people are asking, what do we do in year one? We hear in year two that La Casa is going to stand up this integrated service model, which I'll get into what that is. But in the meantime, what do we do in year one? So for that, next slide. And I'm sorry, these little black boxes on there, hopefully they won't. Are you guys seeing the little black boxes or the big black boxes? I'm not sure why they're there, but hopefully they won't get in too much of the way, and I'll send out a clean version if that's on my PDF side. So the RPHP dollars, we spent the first, 6 months of my time here and of the agency really trying to set up. Yeah, if you go back one slide, Terry. Thank you. Set up the programmatic structure for our PHP dollars. So we have program guidelines. They're called transitional program guidelines because everything's in development. But the key fundamental structure of what we've established for our PHP dollars are these eligible uses and required activities. So there's 5 eligible uses: the marketing, assessment, and referral. That's really just getting out in the community, meeting people where they're at, assessing them for their needs, prioritizing them for services. And then legal services and renter education. And we are requiring a 20% minimum spend on legal services and renter education. So we know this is a fundamental component of the program. And one of the key pieces about prevention is that funding has never been constant. It's always ebbing and flowing and up and down, and the need to create different infrastructure takes up a lot of time instead of just really getting the dollars out the door. So one of the real gifts of La Casa funding is that this is ongoing prevention funding and that we can really plan for a multi-year purpose. So legal services and renter education is one of these pieces that we know the need is out there, the demand is great, and there's not often other sources of funding for it. So there's a 20% minimum spend on that. Emergency rental and flexible financial assistance. This is really about getting financial assistance into the hands of households that are experiencing an economic shock. These households don't have to be facing a legal problem. They could be, but really their problem might be they're facing, high medical bills for a month, and a couple $1,000s to get them through the crisis is going to help. And that we find is the largest community of need in the prevention world. And the most effective intervention really is this flexible financial assistance in a timely manner. So getting the money into the hands of the family, evaluating their need as quickly as possible, and then building the relationship. So that's a 40% minimum spend, really hoping to have that consistent programmatic approach to emergency rental and flexible financial assistance. And then the optional activities, which we really want to be a part of this growing problem that is happening right now, where people are really looking toward prevention dollars, where there's housing choice vouchers, emergency housing vouchers. There's now the federal situation where there's a threat to permanent supportive housing. We wanted to be able to do something that looked like a rental subsidy to support any of these programs that were facing cliffs. But with the RPHP dollars, we have a statutory limitation of only providing 6 months of temporary rental assistance. So we know it's not the solution for all the things, but we wanted to make sure that, we wanted to be a part of the solution to this problem here. So that temporary rental assistance looks like a housing subsidy, can be paid directly to the landlord. It's only up to 6 months of temporary rental assistance. Short-term income support is an area that not a lot of people are diving into yet, because this is direct to household payments. There's a lot of flexibility here. It's up to $2,000 a month for 18 months. So depending on Well, I think over the course of the next year, we're not seeing a lot of people too interested in this yet because it's direct to household. But I think over the next couple of years, there'll be a lot of interesting conversations with communities about how short-term income support can play a role in the prevention work. So for all of these uses, it's 36,000 combined cap across all financial assistance. So that's the big picture programmatic approach. And what we wanted to do in year one is really focus on this left side here and build up that infrastructure that is what people understand as it's pretty traditional homelessness prevention, eviction prevention, and stabilize our system that is very strong within the county of LA, but it's under threat because of all the funding cuts. So with we're having a first RFP that's coming out. You can go to the next slide. Okay, so actually, before I get to the RFP, this is an important part of the program guidelines that the implementation options that La Casa has outlined for the COGS is either one, you can self-administer, meaning the eligible jurisdictions administer all or a portion of their funding themselves and directly carry out their RPHP programs, or La Casa administered, and this is where we get into the integrated service model. So we would administer all or a portion of your funds and ensure that the services are provided in your local jurisdiction. And the two ways that we're doing this year, like I said, are through this RFP, which is just about to close for providers, and then the integrated service model. So next slide. So the RFP is for $11.6 million. This is our RPHP's first RFP that we have released. It's pretty exciting to get those dollars out the door into the community. And the scope of services here is the marketing assessment, eligibility and referral, emergency rental and flexible financial assistance, and optional case management. The reason it's optional there is because the jury's really out in terms of how much case management is necessary in these short-term programs. So we want to give providers the opportunity to just do, a thorough assessment and administer flexible financial assistance, or within the assessment, if they've determined that the household is of greater need or needs some sort of housing navigation support, then you can layer on case management. But best practice really is not to load up these programs with case management. So the period of this contract will be February 2026 through June of 2027. And the eligible providers are nonprofit organizations and public agencies with demonstrated experience in providing financial assistance. So we opened that up a little over a month ago, and tomorrow is the deadline for proposals. Next slide. And that evaluation criteria here is this organizational capacity and experience, geographic reach and ability to serve underserved communities across the county, demonstration of clear, realistic, effective approach to delivering the proposed services, and budget and cost effectiveness. Next slide. So what we have said to eligible jurisdictions is if in the first year they don't want to administer their own year one funds, they can pool their funds into the La Casa RFP. And so that the deadline we've asked for people to notify if they want to leave their funds with us. And again, that would mean that we work with providers to ensure that the services are conducted in your jurisdiction. Notifying us for the year one funds of December 1st is the deadline there. La Casa will review the proposals and select the awardees. We'll negotiate the contracts with providers, ensuring geographic coverage. We'll chat with the jurisdictions around input into any program design that's relevant. And then La Casa would administer the contracts and report to the EJs on the use of funds. Next slide. So here's the timeline for the RFP. We're here at this November 19th moment, where deadline for submitting proposals. The panel review until December 3rd. the notification of intent to awards would be December 1st. December 12th, the RPHP committee would recommend to the La Casa board, and December 17th is the final board selection. So a really nice Christmas present, hopefully getting these dollars out into the community. This is a very quick timeline, and I think we'll support providers and have tried to make it as flexible as possible. But I think people really need and want to see the dollars in the community, so we're expediting this. Next slide. Okay, I'll pause there and ask for any questions around, or Terry, do you want questions now or do you want them all at the end?
Penny, it's up to you.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Well, yeah, let me pause there and ask
Yeah, well,
any.
does anybody have any questions so far? I can't see everybody, so no? All right. So I think let's continue.
Okay, great. Next slide. So option 2, which really is what we're driving toward here, and where right now we're in the process of a planning process around the integrated service model with participation by all of the eligible jurisdictions, service providers, and experts in the field. That is a 5-month process that kicked off about a month ago, and we're co-designing what would look like as an integrated service model. And that term really just means, what does a county-wide program look like? And how can we design it in a way that it supports all the jurisdictions, that is really client-focused, client-centered, and most importantly, allows us to get very good data and understand what our outcomes are. And I think that's sort of the understated problem with a county that has a million little programs, because you can't ever really evaluate the full scope and impact of the work that you're doing. So it's a huge opportunity with La Casa to bring things within a single data system and design a front end that's accessible to clients and a back end that gets the eligible jurisdictions, the funders, and the community and the voters who really trusted us with this money, the information they need to understand how well our program is doing. So it's really a research-based and more accessible homelessness prevention program that we're designing here. If you remember that first slide, it's the stuff on the left, the financial assistance and the renter education combined into a system. And planning is underway. The target launch is July of 2026. So we would like to have the components of the integrated service model stood up and ready for operations, aligned with next year's budget. So the components here, what are they? It's centralized fiscal administration. So that is an administrator who can rapidly cut checks. They can manage the bills from different programs. They can, and depending on the model, they can potentially issue checks before knowing the funding source. That gets into real technical stuff, but what that means is it's very responsive to the client. You're not waiting for the funding sources to all line up. The client's getting the assistance they need, and then on the back end, the funders and administrators are figuring out what that means. A centralized portal. This is a very important piece where we're intending to have a single user-friendly web portal that clients can apply to or be assisted to apply to. The portals that are in use for this make the application process very easy, something that is very straightforward, the eligibility and prioritization questions. You can also upload your documentation. And then on the back end, there's a team of people that are really triaging. I want to emphasize the fact that while we're going to stand up technology, these systems require real humans to do this work. And so the real humans are on the other side, and really on both sides. They're doing the outreach and engagement in order to get clients the support they need through applying through the portal. And on the back side of the portal, there's a whole triage team that's rapidly assessing and reaching out to households or the communities that help them apply to sort out what they need. So that's that central portal. The eligibility and targeting are really a human, tech-enabled human experience, shall we say. But the highlight there is the data collection and the shared outcomes. So we'll be able to do reporting at a much greater level with a single portal. And then the services that support all of that application, that front end work, is housing problem solving, which is understood as a light touch conversation, helping a household to really identify what they can do with or without financial resources to stabilize their situation. Housing problem solving has been found to be extremely effective, including when people don't get financial assistance. So a real structured conversation with the household to problem solve, to think through, and to support the activities required to stabilization can be extremely effective even without financial assistance. So to me, it's important to bring that practice into this model. And then the marketing and outreach, obviously, how do we get to the people who need it? The integrated legal services, this is an especially exciting strength of LA County. The renter protection work here is very strong. And so finding ways to integrate that with the homelessness prevention so that there is seamless referral between the two systems, and perhaps even doing things like co-locating legal services within the access points, that the places where the portal is being administered. All of that work is very promising in LA. And then also, as I mentioned, housing stabilization case management. So for households that do require greater touch, more support, something like housing navigation, there could be case management attached to that. So that's the basic idea of the integrated service model. Next slide. And the options for eligible jurisdictions to opt in is you have an opt-in opportunity, and that would mean providing La Casa and its centralized contractors with part or all of their EJ allocation. The ISM can deliver all the required services without the need for local contracting or administrative burden. And then you'd be receiving regular outcome and spending data from La Casa. Next slide. And what opting in would look like specifically for your COG is that residents at risk of losing housing would apply through a centralized portal. The residents receive eligible residents receive a combination of emergency rental, flexible financial, referrals to legal services, and/or housing case management. And La Casa and your COG would collaborate on outreach and marketing to local residents. And then, as I said, the data that you would get, I think, is going to be extremely timely and a real improvement in terms of access to data currently. So that was a mouthful. Now I imagine you might have some questions. So as Terry mentioned, the allocation for your COG is $166,000 for RPHP. So small, but hopefully mighty allocation. And as I mentioned, this really is, to me, the promise of a countywide shared infrastructure that unless you have something you really specifically, want to do that requires you adding, using your administrative muscle or administrative resources, I think this is could be a great partnership, because 166,000 doesn't go very far, and I imagine you want that to go into as much of it as possible to go into the hands of the people who need it.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Julie.
Thank you, Penny.
Can we clear the screen so I can see everybody?
Yes. Hold on one second.
Thank you, lovely. All right, does anybody have any questions? Yes, go ahead, Terry.
I guess, Julie, it was I thought that it was my understanding that the COG didn't have to make a decision by December, that you were going to have the program stood up in July and we could carry our funding and then elect to join then. This isn't an action item on our board today, and I know that I briefed the board regarding these discussions, and it's not really on as an action item to vote. And we don't vote, or we don't have another meeting until January. And so my question would be, if the board decided that partnering with La Casa was the best move, if we told you that in January, is that too late, or should we just wait until like next June or the spring to make that decision?
For the integrated service model, you guys are ahead of the game. So we have not yet decided the date by which we would need to know. And the planning process is still working out the details of what it fully means to opt in or opt out. The December 1st deadline is if you want to put your dollars in with this $11.6 million RFP. So we would be just for year one, what's actually an 18-month contract, we'd be contracting with providers across the county just to get those dollars out. It's a little bit different than how the ISM will run, but we didn't want to sit on that money this year. So we're just doing a straightforward procurement. And if people want to leave their dollars with us for year one, they can do that. Also, Terry, you're correct. Through all the different conversations, there is a way in which you can just roll over your dollars until next year rather than the RFP.
I have a question, Julie. For our residents, if we were to go this route, would they have to sort of go to any offices further away from our resident,
No.
Where they live, or everything can be done online?
It can be done online. Yep. And the triage entity would be able to reach out via phone or email or whatever is the best way. And if they preferred to seek assistance in some sort of trusted organization, they could do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Seeing none, gone. All right. Thank you so much, Julie, for your presentation.
Thank you very much for having us.
Okay.
We'll be in touch.
We're now moving on to an update on the proposed closure of LA County Central Jail, and I'd like to welcome Stephen Edwards, Justice Deputy for Supervisor Horvath.
Good morning, everyone. Good to see you, to those of you I've met before, and hello to those I haven't. I'm Supervisor Horvath, Senior Justice Deputy, and you can all, just in case you can reach out to me anytime with any LA County public safety issues. I'm happy to do what I can to help. And thank you for inviting us here to talk about the closure of Men's Central Jail. I got a little sense of what you all are looking to hear, but don't hesitate to interrupt me if you have specific questions. I think first, it might be helpful for me to kind of start with where things stand or what is happening and what isn't. Right now, there is no current plan to close Men's Central Jail as of a certain date. So there's not a date, for example, by which the jail will be closed, whether or not there's a plan for what happens next. There's not a date. I think there were some communications sent around that I think got ahead of quite frankly, what's happening. We do, however, have our community safety implementation team. It used to be called the Jail Closure Implementation Team. And CSIT is working to plan for what comes next, what comes after Men's Central Jail. By way of background, broadly, why close Men's Central Jail? The jail's in really poor condition. We're under several consent decrees that relate to the jail's conditions. We are also facing its literal infrastructure is deteriorating. It's falling apart. And you might have seen an LA Times article a couple of months ago that suggested it might not be safe in an earthquake. in addition to the fact that it's sort of overcrowded and outdated for its original purpose. So the jail is kind of struggling, to put it politely, and that has made living conditions there very difficult for the inmates, and it's made working conditions there very difficult for the staff. So broadly speaking, that's the starting point. The county has been engaged in a really decades-long effort to figure out how to move on from Men's Central Jail. More than 20 years ago, many of these procedures started to come into place. And then before Supervisor Horvath's term, in 2015, the board initially planned to build a new facility, and then in 2018, sort of approved a multi-billion-dollar plan to build a new jail focused on mental health treatment. And then in 2019, canceled that plan and wanted to focus on building a mental health treatment facility, and then canceled that plan. So then in 2020, the board began this process of moving towards closing Men's Central Jail without a replacement in terms of a carceral setting. And that paired with the alternatives to incarceration work you may be familiar with. And then it led to the creation of this jail closure implementation team, which is now the community safety implementation team. Broadly speaking, the CSIT team goal is to identify, plan, and develop the plans for how to move on from Men's Central Jail. And that includes things like figuring out what the population's needs are, so to identify folks that can be released safely into the community without impacting community safety, developing sort of like what they would need, what support they would need, and what support the courts would actually approve to release them to, right? As well as identifying sort of longer term structural challenges. As you might know, the largest or most quickly rising population of folks in our county jails are folks with serious mental illness. And so trying to identify the right resources so that those folks are not cycling in and out of the jail continually. So in October, the CSIT group presented its most recent update. And Terry, if you don't have it, I'm happy to send you kind of the link so you can have it. But basically what they've done is they've kind of done a refresh, and now they're at a place where they're getting new data, new development. They're under new leadership by a guy named Will Pinckney, who was involved in some efforts to close jails in New York City and St. Louis. And they're developing kind of a data-based approach to figure out where the resources should go. And they're in the midst of that plan, and they'll be reporting back quarterly. So I think their next report should be late January, early February. I think the holidays always throw everything off a little bit, but I think that's where we would see their next report. And their plan is to use data and the frameworks associated with that data to identify like how the county should invest to figure out which ways it can reduce the jail's population, which ways it can build out support in the community to keep folks who are cycling in and out of the system from coming back in, as well as to kind of make sure we're not throwing good money after bad, as the saying goes. Separately, I think many of you may be familiar with Sheriff Luna's proposal to do a care campus. He's changed the name a little bit to call it the Correctional Care Treatment Center, but he's in the early stages of developing his own proposal that would be sort of a more modern jail environment. That proposal has not been presented to the board yet, and we've not seen it in the supervisor's office yet, but we're open to seeing it. I think the sheriff has some concepts that he's looking to sort of develop. They're just not detailed enough really for us to sort of weigh in to really understand sort of exactly what it looks like. But there's that I wanted to sort of provide that because it's an important context for what is being discussed about potentially closing the jail, separate from the fact that it's not immediately closing. And then I also wanted to highlight that in addition to the increase of inmates who have serious mental health issues, are also the folks who are coming in under Proposition 36. And as you might remember, Proposition 36 changed the consequences for certain kinds of offenses, and many of those offenses relate to drugs and substance use issues, as well as kind of misdemeanor theft issues and the impact of having multiple offenses in those categories. That has caused a direct increase in the jail population. So that is another sort of current challenge we have. And then the last big challenge I would throw out is one that we all are aware of, and it's one that I think is sort of a very important piece of this, which is the county's financial challenges. Because as we're trying to figure out this balance of the appropriate place to invest to kind of move on from Men's Central Jail because of its condition, we've got to figure out the right balance for investing in the community, investing in the right places in the community, and making sure that we're making efficient use of that money. As you know, we're facing a $4 billion judgment in the related to child abuse. That is a major factor, as well as changes in our sort of federal local landscape and other financial issues. In terms of next steps, as I said, they'll be coming back to the board in February, January. And just want to make sure that I'm not leaving anything out. I think there was a question of if there's not a plan now, what's the holdup? And I think that is a very good question. From our view, that's really what CSIT's work is all about. In our office, I think it was about a year ago, pushed to move the CSIT team from under JCOD, where it really wasn't getting a lot of attention and hadn't really developed in a lot of detail, just because of the work, quite frankly, that JCOD was doing. JCOD is our Justice, Care, and Opportunities department, and they are really kind of doing a lot of the programmatic work on the alternatives to incarceration and sort of programming side to help support folks who have been justice involved so they don't come back into the community. But because of that, there wasn't really a lot of focus, I think, on the jail closure planning piece. And so now that jail closure planning piece is housed in our CEO's department. So it should have a more direct line to understanding the money, quite frankly, and how the sort of different departments work together. And so that was a major push on our part. And I think CSIT is now kind of reset with a priority and a sort of focus on working out some of these plans and really understanding where the most sound places for investments are, so that we can kind of close the jail, because right now it's just not safe for the people who live there or for the people who work there. I'm happy to answer any questions, and yeah.
Thank you so much. Kelly.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. Appreciate it. Okay, so the planning and the back and forth have been going on for more than 10 years, closer to 20 years. So now we're back in planning. Okay, so I just more of a comment than a question. You know, the frustration with this is enormous on the part of, you know, many cities in LA County. What is the time frame on this? In other words, the Men's Central Jail has been in a deteriorating condition for more than 20 years, longer than that. You know, and I was aware of all the things that you just reiterated, you know, this back and forth. For lack of a more complicated explanation, why don't you just rip it down and build a new building that contains the mental health facilities as well as the incarceration facilities, which the voters of you know, California have demanded through Prop 36. I understand the budget concerns for the county. There are other ways to finance this through bonds, et cetera, et cetera. It's not a new concept. So, you know, while I'm pleased that the safety, I forgot the name of your committee, is planning, I don't think that the actual residents and voters of LA County and greater Southern California are interested in exploring alternatives to incarceration and mental health. They've made their position very clear. So what is the actual focus of the committee? I mean, it seems very simple to me. And, you know, I'm super frustrated on behalf of our constituents who have known about the condition and are aware of the condition of the Men's Central Jail and have had many relatives and friends in the Men's Central Jail for 20 plus years.
Absolutely. I appreciate the comment, and it is very frustrating.
Yes.
I want to acknowledge that. When I actually joined the county, one of my primary job was to work in the jails. My office was at Twin Towers, and it was rough at times. So I understand it, absolutely. I think the main difference I would say in terms of planning, and this is just something to keep an eye on because it's certainly what we are pushing the CSIT team to really work on, is to really drill down into it's not just planning the plan of like coming up with the contract and all this stuff. It's really about making sure the county's investing in the right place and pushing CSIT really to develop that work so we can actually act. And I think the hope is that CSIT's work will help us break through some of these barriers and identify specific things, specific steps that can be taken to push us towards closing the jail. I will be reviewing the reports very closely, kind of with that focus in mind, because I think we're really kind of looking at like, yes, I mean, there are a lot of options on the table. There's challenges in terms of financing any sort of major project, but there are also a lot of different pieces of this puzzle that can be acted on at once. So we're really looking to see all of those pieces kind of come into line so that the board can prioritize and push towards specific things that sort of improve the progress we can make towards closing the thing, right? So it's not going to be a sort of one size fits all solution. And I think we expect that there will be multiple pieces of the puzzle that will be acted on, and we're looking for CSIT to really drive a lot of the prioritization of that work. I know that doesn't totally answer the question. It certainly doesn't close the jail, but we are pushing and advocating to sort of make some real steps.
Alicia, I saw your hand go up.
I guess it's really just to follow up for people in our community that are asking a simple question as to when this will happen. What should the response?
Well, right now there's not a current date. So I know that's not
right.
Super satisfactory, right? So we don't have, I unfortunately can't give you kind of like, we're going to start building something or closing something, July 1st or whatever. I think we'd all want that, but we're not there. We are pushing CSIT to work on that because we want to see specific tasks that we can start putting dates to. That is absolutely a critical part of CSIT's task. I just don't have any, right now there are not actually any dates. I don't want to sort of indicate.
Right. I think there's a lot of like panic and just people not really understanding what's happening. So I think there just needs to be a lot more communication to the local cities so that we can share the information with our residents, because before the item went on the board agenda, there really wasn't a lot of interaction with the local communities on this. And a lot of people were really caught off guard. So that would be my advice and recommendation, just to really engage all the communities.
Thank you.
Ray, you got to unmute, and there you go. Yeah, you're good.
Am I good?
Yes.
I would just like to back up what you just heard from Alicia and Kelly. Any kind of plan to close the central jail that doesn't involve community safety first is a failed government experiment. Whether it be Prop 36, the feeling that every one of us as council members get from our residents and our interactions with them, whether it's perception or reality, there is an overwhelming desire from LA County residents that local government, whether it's our cities, our county, all the way up to the state, are focused on public safety and keeping people safe in their homes and their neighborhoods. And the presentations that I've been hearing around the Men's Central Jail are not really focused on public safety as much as it is rehabilitation of prisoners or the bureaucratic issues that LA County faces with all of this. And I am sympathetic to all of that, but anything that doesn't lead with public safety is not going to be well received in our communities. And I think that's something that the county needs to really take a strong look at as this process moves forward. And as Alicia said, a lot of us are caught off guard by just a lack of understanding. I can always learn more. We can always learn more. So the more outreach you can do to our city councils as well as our communities, I think that is going to be absolutely critical as your process moves forward.
Thank you for that.
Thank you. Jeff, did you want to say something?
Thank you, Penny. I did just have a really quick question, and I realized I put my hand up because I realized it may not be a very fair question. I wanted to thank you, Stephen, for the presentation again. I wanted to ask, you mentioned something about Sheriff Luna putting together this proposal. I wonder if you have any idea of what a timeline like that would look like, when you expect him to have a proposal that might be ready to go to the board.
No, we don't, and we've asked. I think the sheriff, I think sometime maybe even about a year ago, began talking about this idea of a care campus, and we just haven't seen sort of a detailed document, right? We have asked for it. The sheriff is, as you know, an independently elected official, so it's not like a department head where we can just tell them like, "Where's your plan?" We're open to seeing what he's working on. I do believe his team is working on it, but we haven't seen any details.
Okay. Anika.
Thank you so much, Steve. And I just want to join our my fellow elected officials. We're also very concerned, and I don't see a plan formulating. I think everybody's talking about planning, but then we don't see anything transpiring, and it just feels like, or the perception is at least, that we are inching towards the closure because the building is deteriorating. So the more time we spend planning, the less time we have to build something new, because those people will have to go somewhere. And I think it's a priority for the entire county. It's a priority for all who are justice impacted. And I don't know how long this decision can be delayed. And I understand that there's no date in sight, but there is a timeline because it's a physical building. It's going to stop functioning at one point, and we cannot wait for that point to come, because what will happen then? And so I really, really hope that the county will move this forward as fast as possible, allocate the necessary funds or make arrangements for that, because I understand it's going to be a very, very big project, but this is a project that will have to happen. So I hope the county will prioritize the safety of our communities, and we all hope for that, I guess, in our COG. Thank you so much.
Kelly, you had something to add. You're muted, Kelly.
Just a quick additional comment, because I have discussed this issue with Sheriff Luna, the Correctional Care Treatment Center, but on a related and extremely important issue. If the Men's Central Jail is closed and, obviously demolished, the inmates of this facility must find another home, which is an extremely complicated and expensive process, and one that the sheriff has indicated, at least to the group that I was in, is almost impossible. There is simply not room for all of the offenders that are in the Men's Central Jail, not all of which, but many of which are violent offenders. So this, and it was indicated to me that, the sheriff's department, who is in charge of the jails, will have no alternative but to release a certain number of these individuals in the community, which is unacceptable in my point of view, and I think unacceptable to the voters of the county. So I think that's a really important point. If you move a large percentage of inmates out to Santa Clarita or wherever there is another holding facility, transporting those individuals and people to their court appearances and interviews and meetings with their attorneys, as they are of course entitled to have, is going to be a very complicated and very expensive process and time consuming. So I think that's also another factor that we really need to think about. And to Aniko's point, we need to short circuit the planning and start with the actual doing. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Aniko, you had a final thought?
Yeah, and as a final thought, since we had a presentation about addressing homelessness right before this presentation, I want to remind all of us that many of these justice impacted individuals, and that's the new term, I guess, the county is using now for inmates, end up on the streets when they're released early. So there's almost like a direct tunnel that leads them from the jail to the streets. And we already have a homeless crisis that is out of control. That's our reality, unfortunately. It's very tragic. But we have to think about that too in terms of homelessness. What will these people do if they can't be, housed somewhere else? As far as I understand, our facilities are at maximum capacity or at almost maximum capacity. So there's nowhere to go. Where are they going to go? If they become homeless immediately, what options do they have to find employment? I mean, or housing? I mean, this is like an incredibly complex issue. So I know you guys are looking at all the angles, but I just wanted to mention how these, let's say somebody's released early because of capacity issues or even because of the closure of the jail. More than likely, we all know that this is the sad reality. They'll end up on the street the next day. So thank you for coming and communicating with us, and hope you'll keep us in the loop.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I very much appreciate the insightful comments, and we certainly understand the focus on public safety. Absolutely. And I do, it's a hard balance, right? It's a challenge. We can't expect that any one move will solve sort of the puzzle. And that's why we're kind of pushing CSIT to really kind of work on really identifying all those levers so that we're making these moves together when we're sort of picking the right spots, knowing that it's a very big, complicated puzzle with a lot of effects from any one action. So, and I just to reiterate one last thing, there's not a plan there will not be like a closure of men's social jail without a plan. That's not in the works. There is no design for that. The board has not pushed for that. Supervisor Horvath certainly hasn't pushed for that. The idea here really is to figure out that plan. And I appreciate the point, like, hey, if that's what you're doing, you got to do it quickly. We totally understand.
Okay, thank you so much, Stephen, for that presentation. And I know you will take our comments back to the supervisors. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right, now I'd like to welcome from the Mountains Conservancy, Los Angeles County Fire Grant, Rory Skay, who is the Deputy Director of the Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy. Welcome, Rory. It's all yours.
Thank you, Penny. So Terry asked me to come and talk about our grant program with Los Angeles County and Ventura County. We had the benefit of the governor authorizing an early appropriation of the Prop 4 fire resiliency funds. So we were one of the first agencies to actually make grants. So in May, we granted $2.2 million to Los Angeles County Fire Department to implement what they had provided us with their wish list of 6 projects in the basically the historic fire corridor, the Santa Ana wind-driven fire corridor. And this is mainly to protect Topanga Canyon. We've been underway. It was kind of a process because, first of all, we had to get the county to actually be able to approve accepting the grant. That took a little while that happened. And then we also had to go through, MRCA had to do this for the county, the environmental protection plan process. It's sort of like in lieu of CEQA, which was waived. We still had to go through a process to outline all the project areas and the mapping and who was affected and tribal consultation, all that sort of stuff. But basically, a couple of months ago, the county and MRCA started on the first phase along Santa Maria Road, doing clearance along the fire road and the residential street. That is almost all completed. We had to stop doing some work because it also crosses private property, and some of the owners were not going to give permission for any work to be done. So that's unfortunate. But recently they've been working on the Summit to Summit motorway and the Calabasas Peak motorway, and that's almost all completed. So the process, what county has done is masticate 20 feet on each side of the existing fire road to make a broader swath of clearance, and made piles. They've sort of masticated a bunch of vegetation and then made piles in the middle of the road. And the plan is to burn those piles. We obviously have good weather, so they would like to do that in December, obviously based on there has to be community outreach to the Topanga community, and that's in the works. And also AQMD has to approve. But that project is well underway. We've got 20 feet on each side of the Calabasas Peak motorway. They've cleared about 2,000 feet so far, and that's proceeding. Also, the Henry Ridge motorway, and so that will create an area where if there is a fire, that actually make a great staging area for the fire crews. The next projects will be wait until the spring, and that would be Puerco Canyon in Malibu and Big Rock in Malibu. And that would be to be some additional clearance around on Puerco to do more road clearance, and at Big Rock to expand the area around the houses that hadn't already burned. Another project was with Ventura County Fire and LA County Fire on the Crummer Canyon section, which bisects both Ventura County and LA County. And that's been a goat project, and the goats have pretty much cleared several acres so far of weedy invasive vegetation. And that's the goal, is to get rid of the flashy fuels, not to do a whole landscape scale clearance of chaparral, but to be very strategic about making clearance areas where it will make sense in the if there's a wind-driven fire. I'd also like to mention that MRCA Mountains Recreation Conservation Authority, has also embarked over the last couple of years with a general fund early appropriation money from the state, a very important ignition prevention program. So we gave grants for arson watch, for drone studies, for red flag patrol on all of the like Mulholland Drive and the sort of the susceptible areas. And it's been very successful, essentially a multi-purpose biodiversity and ember catching project to plant thousands of oak trees in the fire corridor. So we already have about 1,000 that have been planted on our Upper Las Virgenes Canyon open space preserve property between Hidden Hills and Lasky Mesa. And the science has been showing that actually coast live oak trees are very efficacious in catching embers. They don't necessarily burn up themselves, but in these wind-driven fires, that's a real key. We're trying to keep embers from going across the freeway and then on into Malibu, which is obviously what happened with the Woolsey fire. I see Marianne clapping. That's great. Truly, it's a multi-agency cooperative process. LA County has been fantastic. Ventura County Fire has been fantastic. We're all working together. And clearly, we hope to have all this clearance done before the next fire season. We were really racing to get it done before this fall. And luckily, we don't have, with the rains, we have a little bit of a breather for a while, which is really good. But fire season, as you know, is all year round now. So there's nothing to keep a big Santa Ana from developing again in January. So we're trying to be ahead of the curve on that, so that at least our firefighters will have a safe place to stage, and presumably and hopefully keep embers from traveling farther south. Lots and lots of science involved in Southern California shrublands, and sort of the Governor's Task Force on Forest and Fire Resiliency has a whole section on their webpage about how Southern California shrublands are different from Northern California fires. So in the forests, prescribed burning is absolutely the way to go. In the shrublands, it's a little dicier because we've had so much fire. We've got a lot of type conversion. Malibu Canyon is just sort of a prime example. So many fires have blasted through there that the more fire-resistant chaparral and ceanothus species are diminishing. They're not coming back. Instead, there's a lot of mustard and non-native invasive grasses. And as you all know, the grasses are sort of like the tinder for a fire. They're not that much fuel, but they really can cause a fire to spread. And so that's our real goal, is to try and get rid of the invasives going over time. And I'm happy to, don't want to take too much of your time. I know you have a huge agenda, but obviously happy to take any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Rory. Marianne, you're up.
I just want to say thank you. This is really exciting to hear this type of activity being applied and going forward. I hope that we can create a multi-year program so that in 10 years we're still continuing to do the necessary clearance and using a variety of different methods in order to do that. I wholeheartedly agree with you that it's a unique environment, and we have to make sure that we're applying the right type of removal as necessary. And I just want to verify, are there plans for basically the Woolsey footprint? Since that's been 7 years since that burned, it seems like the perfect time to making sure that we're looking at that areas and starting ongoing efforts. So thank you.
Yeah, county has not identified Woolsey. 7 years is actually a very short time frame. Actually, chaparral should be 30 to 50 to 100 years before it burns to keep the ecological integrity of the ecosystem intact. So we don't have any plans to go back into the Woolsey footprint on our property. National Park Service, state parks are actually have more land ownership in the Santa Monica Mountains than the MRCA or Conservancy. So we'll be working with our partners to see if there are any strategic areas that might benefit from further treatment.
I just had a quick question. Thank you so much for this presentation and for all the work that's being done. I echo the sentiments, how important this is. I was wondering, is there kind of like a cheat sheet to share with the community all this great work that's taking place?
There's actually on the MRCA website, mrca.ca.gov, there's a heading called Park Safety. And if you click on that, there's the fire division has a link, and also statewide fire resiliency is another link, and that shows our progress to date. And that should have all the information on it.
Okay, thank you, because I think it's important for the general public to know what's happening.
Right.
Maybe we can come up with a cheat sheet that we can all use.
Okay.
Take those links.
Anika, did you have?
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to echo everyone's sentiments. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. And I wanted to emphasize what Alicia said, that we really cannot do this without the support of our residents, because sometimes residents don't understand what these measures are and why they are being implemented, and they're really concerned about the environmental impact of these measures. So I think the more we can educate our residents about why these measures are being done, for what purpose, what protection, what are the implications, and to address these concerns, hopefully we'll get more and more support from everyone, and all agencies will do as they try to make us as fire safe as possible. And we all understand how beneficial this is, because as we all know, our insurance market is
right.
destroyed, so at the end of the day, everybody is impacted, no matter where they stand about what measure is best to prevent fires. So it's incredibly important that we as Alicia has, get more information and we push it out and educate the public so they can be very supportive of all of us, including you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I neglected to mention probably that one of the biggest keys is home hardening and structure out. All the fire agencies will say fire protection starts at your walls. And so that's have a lot of efforts to, I know the RCD, Resource Conservation District of the Santa Monica Mountains, and the Ventura County RCD have home hardening outreach that we've helped fund to go out to individual homeowners and homeowners associations to point out what they can do. I mean, clearly it would be so beneficial if there was actually a checklist so that insurance companies could say, okay, have you done these measures? We'll give you a break on your rates. That's not really in place yet, but that's certainly in statewide, that's being discussed as a way to both encourage home hardening and help fund it, because it can be expensive if you need to change your roof out or enclose your eaves. But simple things like the ember screens, and I know Zone Zero is super controversial, but at least having non-flammable yard furniture not sitting up against your house, or firewood, that sort of thing. In fact, there's a great website that we were on the technical advisory committee for that CAL FIRE funded, defensiblespace.org. And it's basically a roadmap on how people can both see what the measures are that they can do to protect their own home, and vegetation, landscaping suggestions. So we really try to promote that, defensiblespace.org.
Thank you so much, Rory, for that presentation and for all the work you're doing.
Thank you, Penny.
Getting that information out is vital for all our residents. So are there any other questions? All right. Thank you, Rory. We look forward to seeing you again.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Terry,
Well,
moving on to the Executive Director's report.
great. I've got a few things to report. One of them I included in my report that's in the agenda, but I don't want to steal Stephanie Molin's thunder. I know that she's on the meeting, so I'll let her provide details on that. But I did want to give you an update on our Regional Smart Cities Fiber Network project. The deadlines for bid, as I reported in an email to you, was extended 2 weeks. We had one prospective bidder that's very interested that said that it would take a couple of weeks longer to provide a detailed bid. And in consultation with Jonathan, our consultant, he recognized that that was really important. And so he recommended, and all of you support that extension, which I really appreciate. If we move forward as planned, then we would be able to award the contract to the low bidder, hopefully at our January meeting. And so we're very excited about that. And I also wanted to provide some information with regard to that I also updated you in an email, but just to reiterate that the city managers and I met with Jonathan Smith, our consultant, and representatives, including one of the owners from Cityside Fiber, who's based out of Orange County, but is rapidly expanding into other parts of Southern California. They expressed a strong interest in the partnership with the COG, which is what we've been discussing, where they would operate and maintain the system, which has been estimated to be $200,000 to $300,000 a year, and then committed or indicated that they would commit $35 million in expanding the network into the COG residential and commercial areas off the backbone of the fiber. So that was really exciting. We're not going to just stop with one interview. We're going to continue that process as we move forward to find the best fit for the COG that could support the fiber expansion into the underserved areas of our cities. We recently had, with regard to Measure M, we recently had a meeting with Metro. We have a quarterly meeting where the COGS Highway Working Group meets with Metro to review our projects. And so we're fully engaged on that and expect the Metro approval for our Measure M funding in January or February. As I previously reported in an email to all of you, the 88 for 28 committee meeting that was held at the Los Angeles County Hall of Administration, actually in the board meeting room, was informative but disappointing in that it does not appear that Metro's able to make any type of commitments as far as additional transit service from the COG region to Olympic venues or even connectors until there's a determination of whether they're going to get additional federal funding for that. And as we all know now, the LA relationship with the federal government is a bit complicated. And so Metro says that they're not really going to have a good idea about that until probably maybe 26, or it could be as late as 27. So I'll continue to monitor that and keep the board updated if there's any changes. Lastly, or not lastly, the CPUC emergency communications that I've been reporting on. The staff proposal is expected to be available in the early part of next year, and then CPUC will continue or begin holding workshops to allow public opportunity to comment on the rulemaking to evaluate and strengthen the backup power network for telecommunications providers. Obviously, this is a very big issue with our COG, with the copper telecommunications lines, and we'll continue to provide updates on this as it moves forward, and also get geared up to battle the issue next year with regard to the carrier of last resort trying to pull out. I appreciate Jeff and other people have forwarded information to me. There was a very good article in Cal Matters recently with regard to the impact of taking away copper lines. And of course, it revolved around a person who had been in a fire area. So we're all aware of that. And then lastly, with regard to Measure A and the affordable housing funding, I appreciate Julie making the presentation earlier with regard to our meeting, and I just wanted to kind of make sure that I'm proceeding in the right direction. It would appear that the best option for us would be to join in with La Casa and have La Casa with that partnership administer our funds, and that way we wouldn't be hiring somebody else or spending the funding that is meant to go to individuals that need the renter protection with administration. So I just want to make sure that I'm going down the right path and have the support of the governing board for working with La Casa to create that network and that outreach in our community for people that need those services.
Thank you very much, Terry. And I think we would all agree, unless someone else would like to say otherwise, that that is the right direction to go.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now we move on to city updates. Nate?
Good morning, everyone. We are just coming off the heels of our State of the City event. That was a great success. Thank you for everybody that came out. In the ties to that, we have our groundbreaking for our first fully inclusive playground in Morrison Park this afternoon. So we'll be doing that, and really excited. It's been a process that's involved Rotary Club and YMCA and just a bunch of the community. And then finally, just upcoming for us, we have our Holidays on the Hills event starting December 5th in the evening, and then also happening on December 6th. It's free entry. There's tons of food. If you need to find that gift for that tough person that has everything, we've got it there. So please come on out for that, and we look forward to hosting everybody there. And Penny, I'll turn it over to you if there's anything else you have to add.
No, I think although we had a lovely evening, yes, this was it last week with Nita Prose from the Maid series, wonderful Canadian author. So that was a great evening too. I think we've been doing a lot for the community. So I'm very proud of our staff for that. So thank you, Nate. I'm going to move on to Kindon.
Good morning, everybody. Just a couple updates. Our State of the City is tonight at 6:30 at our community center. So we'd like to.
Oh, Kindon is frozen. Can anybody hear him? No. Alicia, you disappeared.
I know.
Has Calabasas gone down?
Yeah, so we have our State of the City tonight, and that's exciting. Let's see, Kindon is frozen, but I'm trying to think everything else. Yeah, can't think anything else right now, but we have actually a big meeting with SCE that we hope everyone will attend from the local cities on December 4th at 6 o'clock. So those are our two big items right now.
Great. If Kindon comes back, we'll bring
Okay,
him in.
thank you.
Okay, Gloria.
Thank you. At our last city council meeting, we introduced a new drone ordinance to better address local concerns about privacy, safety, and of course, wildfire risk. The rules are focused on stopping unsafe and intrusive drones, especially during private property and during emergencies, such as also red flag events. We will now require city permissions for commercial media flights, and this ordinance gives us clear tools to enforce existing FAA and state rules at the local level. We also received feedback from our residents regarding our Fiesta 2025, and we're excited to report that the majority of our residents rated the event from very good to best in memory. We shared these results also with our city council, and staff is already using the input to help shape Fiesta 2026, which will mark the city's 65th anniversary. That concludes my report. I don't know, Councilmember Gold, if you had anything else to share.
I have a question for you, Gloria. So with your drone ordinance, if you have a media drone flying where it shouldn't be, how do you enforce that?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
In your drone ordinance, you said you're not going to allow media drones flying over private property, correct?
Correct.
How do you enforce that?
Hopefully someone reports it and we get advice of it immediately. We would have to call the sheriff's department to come out and bring that drone down. We also work with Covered Six, who's our private resident company, and they also have a way to bring those drones down.
So are you shooting them down or?
Betty, I don't believe that media companies will send drones onto private property because they understand that that's not exactly the right thing to do. So we see helicopters. Yeah, we do that. I think they're all over, but I have never experienced a media company, a reputable one, sending a tiny drone to fly over somebody's private property. I mean, maybe I just don't know, but I haven't heard of that ever happening.
I'm just curious because we don't, I think, have that issue here yet. So I'm just wondering who was operating these drones.
And I don't think I agree with Councilmember Gold. We haven't seen those. I think this is more to get ahead of it and have something in place so that in case this does come up in the future, we have a way to address those things.
Okay, so you're not having a drone invasion.
No, we're not. We're not.
Okay, thanks. Okay, Candace.
Hi, good morning, everyone. We are weathering the storms well over here. We've had our maintenance crews out monitoring infrastructure and road conditions. As you know, we have a great deal of clearance traffic going on PCH, and we're prepared for the next storm that's coming. As Marianne mentioned, we have the anniversary of the Woolsey Fire, which occurred November the 8th, 2018, and lasted until November the 21st. But the good news of that is that 81% of the homes that were destroyed are either rebuilt or in the pipeline to be rebuilt. So that's the silver lining of that fire. We continue our rebuild and recovery efforts. They're going strong here in Malibu. We also just welcomed Christopher Smith as our new interim assistant city manager. Christopher comes to Malibu with over 22 years of experience in the public sector and most recently served as the deputy city manager in the city manager's office for the city of Santa Monica. So we're really glad to have him. And we're also out recruiting for a permanent city manager, hopefully 3 times a charm. I have a good feeling about that one. So that'll be happening soon. And good news also, we are opening up a number of new businesses here in Malibu, from Pilates studios to a new general store. So we're coming back, which is good news. We've completed our PCH signal synchronization project, which is the city's most significant measure to date to improve traffic safety and mobility on PCH. So we're very excited about that. And just as a final thing, Amy Tan, author of the Joy Luck Club, she's going to appear as part of the Malibu Library Speaker Series tomorrow night at 7 p.m. here at City Hall. So thank you. Oh, Marianne, do you have anything?
You did a great job. The only other thing that I want to mention is we have our holiday tree lot opening up for our Malibu Education Foundation and a Malibu Film Society. We're going to be celebrating Dick Van Dyke's 100th birthday in and around December 13th. So there's going to be special screenings of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. And we just, he's been a longtime resident of our community and so well loved. So if you're able to come out to Malibu, check out our tree lot by City Hall. And then if you're able to check into any activities to celebrate Mr. Dick Van Dyke, we welcome everybody to come and enjoy themselves. Thank you.
Sounds like you've got a lot of fun things happening. So I'm glad to hear that. Kindon, can you hear us and speak? I see.
Can the group hear me now?
Yes, go ahead, Kindon.
I don't think I have anything else to cover. I think Councilmember Weintraub did a fabulous job and left you with the most pertinent and relevant information.
Great. Okay, Rob.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good to see you all. Yeah, the storms, of course, were a big deal over the last few days. We got 4.5, 5 inches of rain here in Westlake Village. Our storm drains performed really well, so happy about that. We've got several major projects underway. Our courtyard renovation is underway. We had a lot of demolition over the last couple of weeks, and now the improvements begin once it dries out a little bit. So we hope by February, March, we'll have that completed, including our veterans honor sculpture will be installed. We are also replacing our traffic signal controllers across town. Our controllers are 30 to 40 years old, obsolete. So this is quite a significant investment for our traffic signals, and will improve their programming capabilities and connected to a centralized system. So we're well underway on that transition. And then also we're working on a redesign of an arterial street, Lakeview Canyon Road, which is a 4-lane street. It's over-designed for vehicles, really. So we're reimagining it and with reduced lanes, dedicated and separated sidewalks and bicycle lanes, quite a bit of additional landscaping. The whole idea is to slow down traffic, and we have a pretty exciting concept, and we're now trying to see if we can get the community to buy in and support the idea. And then lastly, we do have a holiday Christmas event as well. It's on Sunday, December 7th from 3 to 6 p.m. at the shops. It's called the Holiday Sing Along. And this is, we've done it several years now, and we get various groups come and sing holiday songs with backup singers. So we have the Water Districts Board, the school board, and the city council does a song. It would be great to have the COG do a song at the event, if you can. And if we can't do that, maybe President Sylvester and Executive Director Terry Dipple can do a duet. That would be really neat as well. Could lock you in for that.
I don't think you want to hear me sing.
Well, we do have backup singers, so it's anyway, it's really fun. Really good holiday spirit. So anyway, December 7th, 3 to 6. We'd love to see you all there. And that's all I got for now. But Councilmember Pearl, do you have anything to add? Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. We're now moving on to public safety, legislative and agency partner updates. I don't see Captain Oh, yes, here you are. Good morning. Welcome.
Morning. I do have to run to another meeting, so I'll be as brief as possible. But I wanted to start out by thanking Westlake Village and everyone that came to the reception last week. That was very humbling and kind, and I don't, kind of left me speechless, and my family's very grateful too. I had my wife and my two older daughters there. So again, thank you so much. And I'll leave it at that because I'm very grateful to be here every single day. So and very proud of our communities and our station. So starting off with the big topic was all the weather conditions this week as we got a ton of rain, and luckily everything held up well. We completed all of our evacuation orders by about 9:50 p.m. on Thursday night. We tried to be as ahead of it as possible. I know we came around twice because there was first the warning and then it got upgraded to the order. So we made sure we knocked on every single door, let everybody know. We kept a record of who, not a particular numbers of who stayed and who left, and we tried to keep up on that. But luckily, everything turned out for the best. We had some minor rock slides on the canyons, which is normal for us. So far so good, and we are monitoring that next storm system that's supposed to be coming in. It looks like Thursday night into Friday. We're expecting maybe another inch or more of rain. So we'll watch and see how that unfolds. Staffing update at the station. We welcome two new trainees and a transfer in this week. And then I think it's the second week of December. We're going to have two more trainees and a transfer come in. So we've been doing pretty good on starting to get our staffing levels up. 2 Thursdays ago, I attended the graduation, the academy graduation. We graduated 57 new deputy sheriffs, which is we're making some big strides insofar as recruiting because the academy graduations used to be in the 20s and now we're looking at the upper 50s, and hopefully we continue to improve from there. Department wide, let's see here. You'll notice we have a bunch of tags in our front yard. That's getting moving, and we're going to get that improved. I did attend a new tutorial on our new CAD system. I know that was a big topic of discussion last year around New Year's when it went down. So our new CAD system is supposed to go online. We're looking at for Lost Hill Station sometime this coming summer, but it's a really cool system. It's got a lot of great features. Let's see. We've done last month we did a traffic operation focusing on Mulholland Highway. We're going to continue to do those. We're not going to pre-announce them as we're looking to catch, you know, the big issues, the modified exhaust, the speeders. In the last operation, we did find one reckless driver, and their car was towed, and we did numerous citations for speeding. So we're going to continue those operations going forward because it was successful. And let's see here. PCH enforcement remains strong still. We are still issuing a lot of citations on PCH, especially in the construction zones. But I will say that it has borne fruit as we've seen a huge reduction in the amount of collisions on Pacific Coast Highway. And so far, and I'm going to knock on my desk here, we don't have any fatals to report on Pacific Coast Highway so far this year. Topanga is going to remain closed. I guess that's more of a Caltrans update, but we are aware of that for the time being, and we haven't received an ETA and opening yet. Let's see here. And we've had a lot of successes regarding crime. The watch theft suspect, they were hitting other jurisdictions. They were using counterfeit money to buy watches from people. And then, and obviously the people would discover the money's counterfeit. Well, they hit us once in our jurisdiction, and that's the only time that they were going to be successful because our deputies served a warrant on their house down in Compton recently, and that person is now in custody. So they're facing a myriad of charges, and state charges and possibly federal charges due to their counterfeiting. And we had another arrest of a burglary suspect from Hidden Hills, and our detective bureau is working very, very hard on some other cases right now, and hopefully I'll have good news updates in the near future. So that is my update. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Yes, could you, for the benefit of everybody, the CAG system, can you tell us what it is?
So the CAD system is how deputies answer calls, receive information, and run plates, things like that. It's all tied into our 911 system. It's all a very kind of dynamic, integral system. The old CAD system, if you saw a picture of what it runs off of, if you remember those huge monitors we used to have in the 90s, that's what it looks like. But if you even go back even further, remember when you had those green or orange screens, those really old computer systems, that's the kind of coding it runs off of. So this new CAD system is completely modern. It's very, they add a bunch of features to it. It's all going to interconnect into all of our systems. And it's going to work well with our new LA RIC system and everything else. And has a lot of brand new features that are going to make the deputies' lives a lot easier. It's going to, at some point, we're going to be moving to centralized dispatch as well. But your service at the station is still going to remain your good service at the station. That's one thing that, when you call here, you're going to get somebody. And that's one thing that kind of the character of the sheriff's department. We've always had that tradition of service there where you call our station, you don't get put on hold or sent, somewhere else. So they're keeping, some of the best parts of us, and then they are modernizing the rest of the department. It's part of, Sheriff Luna has a big vision about modernizing our department and getting us into the, current century. I know it seems like, this summer is a long way away, but really in government time, it's moving very quickly. So, I don't, as far as some additional things, some of that stuff's still being worked out as far as so I don't want to announce things that may not be a feature on this new CAD system, but it does have many, many new features that our whole mapping system is going to be updated. When you call 911 and it's going to go into the new technology as far as geolocating people when they call 911. So there's a lot of good safety features for the public that's going to help us find people that might be in distress. So that's one thing I'd love to share with you. And then also as far as locating deputies, if they get in trouble or something like that, that new mapping system is going to help locate them a lot better as well. So really good stuff as far as that new CAD system coming out.
Thank you. That's great to know. And also, I have one other question. How are you doing with residents signing up their Ring cameras? Is that going well, or do you need more help pushing that information?
It's not as good as we'd like. I think every time we announce it, we get a few extra people. So I think it's just kind of an ongoing process, and an education process, because I think people think we're spying in on their cameras, and really it's just a registry. So we can ask them if they saw something, really. The more education people get, I think the better it's received by them. So again, yeah, it's not as well as we'd like, but it is progressing.
So we could help by pushing it out from our
Yes.
cities. Okay,
Absolutely.
great. Any other questions for Captain Carr? See none. Thank you so much. Oh, yes,
I
sorry,
have a
Megan.
question. I just wanted to add on, just in layman's terms, CAD stands for computer aided dispatch. And it, it just helping Captain Carr out. It stands for computer aided dispatch. It's basically the system that all public safety agencies use to prioritize emergency calls. So, but you did a great job explaining it, Captain Carr. I just wanted to add that just for anyone that has never heard of it before.
Thank you. So, well, since you're here, Megan, and we have Captain Drew Smith, the floor is yours.
All right, well, thank you. And as you know, and I tell you every time that the Los Angeles County Fire Department is proud to be your fire department, and we appreciate all the support that you give us. Also, I want to thank you for all the invites and all the festivities and events that have been going on in the community. Those are a lot of fun, and we enjoy that. Also wanted to compliment Captain Carr. It's been a seamless transition. Him and I like to say, have a lot of time in the saddle together. So the him taking the helm over Lost Hills is just seamless for us. We're in constant communication. In fact, we have a little running bet right now on total rainfall totals. But one thing that we didn't find out is when the end date was. So who knows how it's going to look. I'm always going to tie into that coffee with a cop thing that everybody else gets but me. So I want to work on that. The safety partnership that we have with the constant communications on the public safety endeavor leading up into this storm event with our approach with our unified partnership with Lost Hills, Office of Emergency Management, the sheriff has been on the calls, Public Works, Caltrans, is just 2 to 3 times a day to get that information for that operational readiness and the preparedness element if we have to take action and operationalize if we have an event. So rest assured that we are talking continuously. Also, Captain Carr talked to some of the technologies, and just know that your Los Angeles County is like turning an aircraft carrier. And so it takes some time with as big of a machine that we are. But I can tell you that we do share interoperability platforms with communications and also moving map technology that we have provided them some of our computer aided dispatch components and moving map technology to track our resources, look at our fire emergencies, see where I like to say if we have an incident where all of our fire apparatus are, so it helps geolocate them to where they need to be, so that information that they have that also complements Genesis is all evolving, and they have that in the real-time watch center as well. So it's working behind the scenes, kind of pirate covert, if you will, but that's the dedication we have to enhancing our interoperability. Also talking to Rory, that's great overview on what she's done in our partnership with the fuels reduction projects. And we're taking action, we're operationalizing this. And I just want everybody to know that we're looking at all avenues to do this responsibly. There's the right land, the right method at the right time for the right fit. But ultimately, we need to take action. We've been talking about it for years. We know what the outcome is going to be because of the wildfire risk in the Santa Monica Mountains. And we appreciate the support of us taking action, because if you go back for 100+ years, we know what the end result is. And we need to do it responsibly. So we have the number one priority, which is public safety, which is life. Second, the property conservation and disrupting people's homes. And also, we are very sensitive to the environmental concerns on the front side of any proactive treatments, but also we all know the devastation and destruction of the environment on the backside. So I know it's a fine balance, but we are working together so we can look at the ultimate end game, which is the life safety component. And with that, I will turn it over to Megan, because she has some fun stuff for us, and then we'll take any questions.
Thank you, Chief Smith. So I think we have finally reached the end of what I like to call fair season, which usually coordinates with fire season, all of our safety fairs and public events. And and city events. And so we've had a really, great few months seeing everyone out at all of these events. But now things are winding down for the holidays. To tie into the conversation earlier, when Rory was discussing the fuel reduction projects that we have in the works, we, LA County Fire, along with MRCA and the Topanga Canyon community, will be hosting a town hall meeting on this Thursday, November 20th. And it's titled Beyond the Brush, Protecting Topanga Through Strategic Fuel Reduction. So this will be a hybrid meeting. I know that it's going to be held at the Topanga Library, but I don't, the capacity is not very large at that venue. So I'm going to put the flyer and the Zoom link in the chat. So if any of you would like to attend and learn more about the projects that we have in the pipeline for the Topanga area, I'll put that in there right now. And then it's basically Chief Smith and then one of our Forestry Division Assistant Chiefs, Brad Weishaupt, along with MRCA's Fire Prevention Specialist, Lee Crowley. And they will be discussing these projects that we have in the works currently. So I will put that in the chat. Other than that, I don't think we have anything major to report at the moment. Just happy to have gotten some rain. And yeah, we're in the holidays now. So that's all I got.
Thank you very much. All right. Daniel Vicente.
Good morning, everyone. Daniel Vicente, Supervisor Lindsay Horvath's office. So kind of the big news coming out of today that I can share is that the supervisor is introducing a motion today that will instruct, sorry about that, that will instruct the Director of Public Works in consultation with County Council to initiate proceedings, including but not limited to filing a complaint with the California Public Utilities Commission on behalf of the county, directing telecommunications companies to underground their infrastructure in coordination with Southern California Edison's undergrounding projects. So this will be before the board today. It's agenda item 80A. The meeting is currently happening right now. The supervisor had a press conference this morning to go over this. But essentially, we know the fire is the fire danger is palpable in our areas. Thus far, we have not seen a whole lot of collaboration from our telecommunications folks in the Santa Monica Mountains areas. And so what this is essentially doing is asking the CPUC to have them underground in collaboration with SCE so that we don't have to do that later, or so that they can stop avoiding the issue at hand here. So happy to take any questions on that one, but let me zoom through the rest of our updates. As Megan said, we are kind of at the tail end of fire prep season here. Our office had 3 unique events that we were involved in. And then we also participated in probably about 3 or 4 other ones the last several months. So our one that we just had a few days ago, we braved the rain a little bit. It was great. It was at the Skirball Center. We ended up moving a big portion of it inside, obviously, but it was a really great event. And thank you to those of you who came out to that one as well. I'm looking here and I actually think I've updated you guys on this other stuff already before. So that's pretty much all I've got actually on my end. I will say, just as a heads up, our office, if you can see the boxes behind me, we have moved in but are not open quite yet into our new office here in Calabasas. So we are located directly across from Captain Carr, actually, at the Lost Hill Station. We're right next door to the One Stop if any of you have been here. So please come over and say hi. We are here. So our new location is 27001 Agoura Road, Suite 260. You don't have to write that down. I'll make sure to send it out to all of you guys. And then we have been monitoring with Public Works the infrastructure during the rains the last couple of days. Thus far, we've only had a few small slides. We haven't had anything really big, thankfully. Knock on wood here. So really great work with as far as Public Works goes with keeping track of those. We have had a few smaller slides that they've been able to clear relatively quickly, but that's all I've got. Happy to take any questions.
Well, that was wonderful news. your first announcement about the motion today, so thank you for that. I'm sorry Alicia isn't here. She missed that. Okay. Any questions for Daniel? All right, moving along. Officer Sturgis, we have you this morning. Oh, there you are, Alicia. Good. I thought you'd gone. Officer Sturgis, are you with us?
Yes, good morning, everyone. So I have a couple updates and then I'll get into the crash report. But we're looking at getting back into Operation Safe Canyons with the sheriffs. So we're actually going to, around the time the snake might reopen, looking at having a joint enforcement operation with them in the canyons. So looking at having 3 to 4 officers out there on an overtime grant that we recently received. We received 1,100 hours, our office and Ventura's office, for enforcement around the canyons, the 101 in that area, and PCH as well. And also we have 11 officers currently in training, so we should have more officers out on the road in the coming months as solo officers, and we have 2 more slated to come to our office after they graduate in the coming weeks. Then going into the crash report, so this is for October of 2025. For October 2025, there are a total of 27 reported crashes on US 101 between Los Angeles city limits and Ventura County line on US 101. There's 1 reported crash on Pacific Coast Highway in areas under CHP jurisdiction. 14 of the total crashes were property damage only, and 14 had injuries. Of those crashes, 1 involved a hit-and-run driver. A license plate number was not obtained, so the suspect vehicle could not be located. There were 2 DUI-related crashes, and there were no fatal crashes. Causes of the crashes include, other than driver, 2, unsafe turning movements, 8, unsafe lane changes, 3, DUI, 2, and unsafe speed for conditions, 13. 19 crashes occurred between Los Angeles city limits and Liberty Canyon Road. 8 crashes between Liberty Canyon Road and Lindero Canyon Road. 0 between Lindero and Ventura County line. 1 crash between LA city limits and Malibu city limits, and 0 crashes between Malibu city limits and Ventura County line. Now, as that compares to October 2024, there's a total of 16 reported crashes on US 101 between Los Angeles city limits and Ventura County line on US 101. There were 2 reported crashes on Pacific Coast Highway in areas under CHP jurisdiction. 8 of the total crashes were property damage only. 9 of the crashes had injuries, and there was 1 fatal crash. For that fatal crash on PCH, it was a pedestrian that failed to yield to oncoming traffic. They had stepped into the roadway and they were struck. 2 of the crashes involved a hit-and-run driver. Neither driver was positively identified. There were 3 DUI-related crashes. And the cause of the crashes include driving under the influence, 3, unsafe turning movements, 3, pedestrian failing to yield, 1, and unsafe speed for conditions, 11. 9 of those crashes were between Los Angeles city limits and Liberty Canyon. 6 crashes between Liberty Canyon and Lindero. 1 crash between Lindero and Ventura County line. 2 crashes between LA city limits and Malibu, and 0 crashes between Malibu and Ventura County line. I added citations to my report this time. So October 2025, there's 364 citations issued on the 101 between LA city limits and Ventura County line, and also on PCH in areas under CHP jurisdiction. So this is not including our Malibu stats. Those are maintained by a specific sergeant who's not been in. So I was not able to obtain those, but those are separate citations from what we have here. October 2024, 344 citations were issued on US 101 between LA city limits and Ventura County line, and on PCH in those areas under CHP jurisdiction. And that is all I have. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you. Any questions for Officer Sturgis? No, thank you very much. Okay, Jeff?
Sorry, I do. I have a question.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Marianne, go ahead.
Let's try and quickly then. You mentioned several times not not including Malibu city limits or just those areas under CHP jurisdiction? And so do you have information on those that are in the Malibu city limits?
I can get them for you. They're maintained by a sergeant here. So what these stats are pulled from is separate from those stats, because we have this, it's called dashboard. It's a system that has all of our stats in it. Those are separately maintained outside of that system. So I need to get them from him, but he hasn't been in the office. He's on vacation.
Okay, will that just be included during your regular report to our Public Safety Commission?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I go to your guys' Public Safety Commission meetings.
Okay.
But I can get you those stats when he's in. I'll make a note of it.
Okay, great. Thank
Do
you.
you have an email address I can send that to? If you can put it in the chat.
I will put it in the chat for you. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you so much. I think we've lost Jeff, but we did have his written report. So let's go on to our legislative staff and agency partners. So we have Rachel Wagner's SCAG update. Oh, that's in the agenda, sorry. We don't need an end for that. So let me see who we have left still. All right. Nancy, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. I'm going to be really quick. Jackie is in the district doing business visitations, lots of meetings in our district office. And she's also been at a couple of conferences. One was about climate change in New York, where she was a featured speaker. And the other is right now in Washington, where she's speaking on cybersecurity and AI. So she's not just our girl anymore. She's gone a little bit more national. I think a lot of that was the work she did this year that she talked about when she was here with us. We are, as a team, focusing on our final year, what we're going to be doing. As Jackie had said, we're going to make sure everything of the 50 to 60 bills is good. It's working well. There's no loose ends. And then we will probably be looking at a zone zero legislation, depending on how the outcome of all of that comes out, and a few other things. And on that note, our team is coming down from Sacramento December 10th and 11th. So if you do have any legislative ideas, love you to send them to us, because that's going to be part of the discussion. And we also, as always, are going to show them around your towns. So if there's anything special on those dates you think I should take them to, let me know. And that's it for us.
Thank you very much. And I thank you for the zone zero. Appreciate that. Okay, so let's see. Nicholas.
Good morning, everybody. Similar to Nancy's update, mine will also be fairly brief. The senator is also back down here in the district. He's been attending various meetings related to LA 28 and insurance. He is currently the chair of the special committee for international games, so that's a big part of his portfolio. And similar to what Nancy said, I'm happy to hear all of your legislative ideas and get them to our Capitol staff. We are looking to kind of shore up what bills we're looking at running this upcoming year. So if you have any ideas, please send those my way. I will put my email in the chat. Other than that, on December 10th, we'll be having our toy drive. So we're currently looking for locations to put our collection boxes for people to donate toys. So if you know any good locations, please send those my way and we will get a collection box out to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nick. Nick Robbins. Metro?
Yes, I had an announcement. I don't know if there was any questions for Nicholas, but if not, I'll just give mine real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to let you know that I've actually accepted a new role at Metro. So starting this week, I'm transitioning over to the station activations team, which is focused on deterring negative activity at our stations by inserting positive activity, economic activity, cultural activity, civic activity. So farmers markets, cultural experiences, festivals, that sort of thing. And I'm really excited about this next step, but I wanted to take the time to thank you all for allowing me to join your COG meetings and to interact with all of you. Karen Swift of Local Government Relations will be taking over my role as the Community Relations Representative for the Las Virgenes-Malibu COG. So just thank you all so much, and I'm sure that I'll be in touch and appreciate you all very much.
Well, congratulations on your new role. I hope
Thank
you're
you.
very successful.
Thank you so much.
Okay, any questions from LA Metro? Seeing none, who have I not called on? Is there anybody missing? No, I think we've covered everybody. Great. So are there any general comments or requests for future agenda items? Seeing none, the future meeting dates. Traditionally, the TAC and governing board do not meet in December unless an urgent matter arises. So the TAC will meet on Wednesday, January the 7th, and the governing board will meet on Tuesday, January the 20th. Both meetings will be virtual and begin at 8:30 a.m. And I would just like to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. I hope you all have a wonderful day with your families. Oh, Marianne, yes.
I was just going to say that I am the representative to the San Fernando Valley Metro Council, and I'm attending an event tonight. So I'll be sure to bring up whatever we can do to try and bring transportation to our area as part of the games. If anybody has anything specific, please contact me. And also they wanted to announce that Agoura Road is going to be impacted by the Animal Bridge. And so the 161 line will have a detour onto the 101 in that area. So just keeping everybody up to date.
Thank you so much. Yes, they've already shut it down, the Agoura Road. So thank you. All right, everybody. I'm sorry this went so long. We'll see you next time.